Terrific.
I think some more people might join, but we can begin. Sorry.
No, that's wonderful. So welcome. I am Macon Finley. I'm delighted to be head of school here at Ellis, and I just was checking our attendee list, and I know several of you and wish we could see you in the flesh right this moment, but we're delighted that you've joined us. You are in for a real treat today. At Ellis, we are doing lots of things differently this year, and one of the unasked for benefits of this very weird time is that we're getting to do some things that we wouldn't otherwise get to do. And this panel is one of those things. I think Carly can correct me, but I believe this is the first time we've had a student panel during reunion. And part of why we can do that is these very busy students can be grabbed a little bit more easily virtually than if we had to get them all in a room this afternoon. So you are in for a real treat, alums, to get to hear from the fine young students on our screen. They're an amazing group, and I know you're going to enjoy hearing from them about what life at Ellis is like now and what it's been like for them in their experience up to this date. So I'm going to turn things over to Carlea Mcguire, who many on this call know as a proud and fierce graduate of our class of 2002. That's an amazing class. She thinks it's the best ever, and Director of Development and Alumni Engagement. And she will introduce our panelists. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you, Macon. Yeah, so I can think of no better way for us to kick off Reunion 2020 than to learn from our current students. Reunion is all about connecting with your classmates, but also learning about what we are up to now. And so I'm really pleased that we're going to get to hear from these students. I often like to think of myself as basically just having graduated from Ellis, but it's now been almost 15 years, so that is not true. So I will also love to learn from them. We often talk about the fact that so many of the things that we love about Ellis are there still, and the women that we graduate have so many similar qualities, but a lot has changed too. And so it's going to be wonderful to hear from them. So very quickly, I'm going to let the students introduce themselves. I'll call on you to let you share who you are, how long you've been at Ellis, and a favorite activity. But we want to hear from you as well, so the alums. So please feel free to put in the chat any questions that you have for our current students. And just a very big thank you, as you all alums probably remember, Ellis is a busy time with lots of activities, so we're really grateful to the students for sharing that. So why don't I kick off with, I'm going to look at my screen. Talia, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Talia Rosen, and I'm in 11th grade. I came to Ellis in 9th grade. It was a big change for high school, but I was really looking for somewhere that had a small, close-knit community where, like teacher and student relationships were really valued. And I think that's what's so special about Ellis and why I chose to come here. I think my favorite activity is probably the Jewish Student Union, which I'm a member of. It's a way for Jewish upper schoolers to connect and just to have a fun time and hang out. So that's my favorite right now.
Thank you. Carly, you are next in my list.
So hi, my name's Carlea Mcguire. I'm a senior and I've been at Ellis since kindergarten. I would say my favorite activity is like our clubs period. And so this is my first year in the Student Diversity League. So I've been really excited about that and like connecting and hearing from everybody.
Thank you. Anna?
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Balich. Oh, sorry, my computer charger just fell. I'm in 11th grade and I came here in 9th grade. I remember when I visited, this is one of my fondest memories, is I felt so supported and such a sense of community here, which is something I really love about Ellis. And my favorite activity is probably the musical, because I love musical theater and because I've met so many cool people and made so many friends through it. So yeah.
Thank you. And Eleanor, last but not least.
Hi everyone, my name is Eleanor Barthwu. I'm in 11th grade, and I also arrived at Ellis when I was a 9th grader. And my favorite activity at Ellis is probably the PJS program, which stands for Pennsylvania Junior Academy of Science. So in PJS, students design a research experiment, and they conduct research, and they do analysis on that research, and then they later present that research to other students from all across the region, the Western Pennsylvania region, in February. And so since I've been at Ellis, I've been conducting research on the production of formaldehyde in vaping e-liquid. And so that's sort of my favorite activity at Ellis and what I've been doing with it while I've been here. So thank you.
Very impressive. So thank you all very much. We actually already have a question from an alum wondering if you are glad that you are going to an all-girls school and what you think about that. I don't know, I can call on one of you to make it easier, or Carly, please, yeah.
So I remember when there's like that big decision like for 8th graders if they're gonna stay at Ellis for high school. So that was something like I immediately thought of about like going to an all-girls school. But especially for high school, I'm so glad that I'm surrounded by people I'm close with. There was a new wave of students 9th grade. And it's just such a good community, and you're close with people throughout different grades. And then on top of that, they're all like there for you and relate in terms of like the all girls aspect. And I definitely think it's really helped with like confidence in the classroom. So when I have been a part of other organizations or just like things that I'm presenting in front of other people, I definitely feel more confident in my abilities, since we're taught to be empowered and confident in what we have to say and share with people.
Awesome. Yeah, Eleanor?
Yeah, so definitely agree with that. I came from a co-ed school. I was in middle school at Carlea, which is a co-ed school in Oakland. And when I came to Ellis, I noticed that there are a lot more voices in the classroom than I was used to hearing in a co-ed environment. And so I think that's one of the assets about being in an all-girls school, is that I get to hear from lots of different people, from the quiet kids and from the loud kids equally.
Anna, please, sorry.
That's okay. I also came from a co-ed school before, and one thing that I recall from me being in a co-ed school is I was obviously friends with everyone, but also I feel like I was a little bit more timid, just because I was a little bit more scared to make mistakes or ask questions because I didn't know the answers. But since I came to Ellis, I've definitely gained a lot of confidence in my abilities to answer questions and learn. So yeah, and also I feel so comfortable, and I know that everybody in the school is going through the same experiences as I am as teenage girls. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So another question would be if, especially speaking with alums right now, there's lots of different Ellis traditions. So is there an Ellis tradition that is your favorite, that you've enjoyed, and what could it be? Yeah, Talia?
This might be a bit of a basic one, but Heritage Day is my favorite day. I think you're not an Ellis girl if you don't love food. And I think that's our one really big day to connect and just eat and learn. And it's really so special because we're able to learn more about like our classmates' cultures. And I always love sharing my culture with my classmates, and I love learning from them. So it's a really special day for me.
Talia, do you mind, before we move on, just because I know Heritage Day was there when I was at Ellis, but I don't think it has been around forever, perhaps. Do you mind just saying quickly what Heritage Day is?
Yeah, for sure. So Heritage Day, it's one day a year, and every student is allowed to bring in a different food or a dessert or something from their culture to share. And in the cafeteria, we line up the entire perimeter with all these different countries and religions, and you can just go around and get whatever food you want. It's very delicious.
I would say that food has always been a motivator at Ellis for years. Carly?
One of mine was also Heritage Day, but another tradition I really like is before winter break, student council hosts a talent show, and the teachers are the judges, and they normally have like a theme that they intertwine with like their comments, so it's really fun.
Yeah, Eleanor.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind right now is the little sister or the little sibling, big sister sibling program. So right now, I don't know if everyone's familiar with that here, but basically a junior is assigned with a freshman and they exchange handwritten notes in the beginning of the year. And then the identity of the junior is later revealed to the freshman. So it's kind of like a surprise. But right now we're in the middle of writing these little notes to the freshmen. And so I'm sort of seeing what it's like to be a junior and be a big sibling or sister. And then also I know what it was like to be a little sister. And so that's really special. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, Anna.
I love all of those traditions so much. They definitely make Ellis Ellis. But my favorite tradition is probably Culture Jam. So if you don't know what Culture Jam is, it's a day focused around social justice issues, and the students, it's all student-led. So the students run workshops to educate other students about social justice issues happening in the world. And I really like it because it's such a day of education and learning. And obviously you're gonna come across uncomfortable topics, but also those uncomfortable topics are what make you more educated and a better ally. So that's definitely my favorite tradition.
Thank you, guys. Now, I was wondering, I think, Carly, because you were here in the middle school, I believe, a tradition that I know is relatively new, but I think is beloved by people that are there in the middle school is the house games. Do you mind just talking a little bit about what those are for alums that weren't here for that?
Yeah, so house games is just in middle school, but every student is divided up into 4 different houses amongst all the grades, so you're mixed with everyone. And it's on every other Wednesdays, which we call collab days. Your house, everyone gets a challenge or a few challenges, and you all work together. And I remember one was like coming up with a dance, which my house won at least 2 years, so I'm very proud of that. But another one's like gingerbread contests or like dodgeball games, or like there's like a fashion show with like where you make things out of certain materials like duct tape and all that, or paper, colored paper. So it's really just about like bonding with the other grades and working together in middle school.
Thank you. So another question would be, are any of you considering going to a women's college? So often, you know, many of our alums have gone on to go to Wellesley or Bryn Mawr or other schools. Are any of you considering moving on to a all-girls school college? Eleanor?
Yeah, so I haven't thought too much about this, but I had a really great English teacher freshman year at Ellis who went to Wellesley. So she definitely made a huge impression on me. But in terms of, you know, whether or not I would go to an all women's college, I'm not quite sure. I think that this having high school as this and being in an all girls environment in high school was really important and formative in sort of developing my confidence. But I'm also sort of interested in hearing from other people, from guys, and also from people who, you know, non-binary people, from people who aren't in this category of being a girl. And I'm sort of excited about that in terms of college.
Thank you. Carly, yeah, please.
Yeah, so since I'm a senior, and in the college process right now, I never crossed all girls schools off my list. I'm not super interested in any right now, but I think going to Ellis for so long, and especially in high school, it really has prepared me to go to whatever college, whether it is an all-girls school. That's something I'd be pretty used to. Whether it's co-ed, I think I have the skills to go wherever, but I haven't been looking too much into just girls' colleges.
Yeah, Anna.
So sort of like what Eleanor said, I haven't thought too much into it just because I haven't really started thinking about college super in detail until this year. But I am not 100% sure on whether I would attend one. This is sort of going off of what Eleanor said, but I really would like to experience classes with all genders, not just girls. And I feel really prepared and equipped with all the tools that I need to succeed in any sort of college that I go to, whether it be all girls, whether it be all genders. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure on whether I would, but I'm not crossing them off my list just yet.
Thank you, guys. So in a different vein, what do you think about how you have been taught to use technology at Ellis? Can you sort of reflect a little bit about the use of technology, and what you've learned, how you feel about it? Do you feel, equipped moving into a much more, technologically savvy world than many of us alums were while we were at Ellis? Talia.
I think the technology opportunities we have at Ellis are really, really diverse and really exciting. I think not only like the actual technology we get to use, but the way in which we use it. So last year in one of our classes, we got assigned to do a video on something about Ellis. And so my group was learning about the house on Ellis's property, and we were able to use videography and interviews to kind of make this production about the house, which I think was a really cool way to bring technology into our learning.
Anna, yeah, thank you, Talia.
I feel like ever since I came to Ellis, I've learned so much about technology. And it's not that I didn't know the basics of technology before, but through all of our integrated studies courses, which are voice and vision, culture and context, engineering right now, I've learned how to use more programs on a computer than I learned in my old school. So I know how to work Photoshop, I know how to make podcasts, I know how to use cameras, I know how to edit videos. So I feel like I've learned a lot ever since I came here about technology, which I'm really grateful for, because we do focus on technology because we always send emails back and forth and have online classes, stuff like that. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Carly?
I think from, like Anna mentioned, the integrated studies courses, you learn the basics and what I probably took for granted of a lot more, like vinyl cutting and just all of the Adobe programs. We use those all the time, that it's kind of I'm not conscious of it because I'm so used to it. And then I think for certain people, as they move into different electives or classes, if you take photography, you learn a lot about Photoshop even more, but how to transfer things back and forth. And then right now I'm in AP art and design, so I'm using a laser cutter, a hot press, and all this stuff that I don't think I'd have the opportunity other places. So I think we're really great on the tech side of things.
Yeah, Eleanor.
Yeah, so as I reflect sort of on my past 3 years here at Ellis, I'm very impressed by the fact that Ellis gives every girl or every student an Adobe Creator account. And so they not only give you those accounts, but they also teach you sort of literacy, right? I can use Adobe Illustrator, I can use Adobe Photoshop. And then furthermore, we have what's called the Foundry here at Ellis, which I think is a relatively new space that includes a vinyl cutter and a new laser cutter and a 3D printer. And we learned how to use those sort of in our integrated studies courses, but earlier this year, I'm on the soccer team, we had to give a senior gift to the senior players. And our team decided that we wanted to give them a little pennant that said Ellis Soccer on it. And we actually all sort of got together and then designed this pennant on Adobe Illustrator and then used the vinyl cutter to cut out the vinyl. And then sort of we all got together during a free period and we put them together. And so I think it's really impressive that we knew how to use these materials and these tools to create something that's really cool. So
Definitely. That's awesome. Thank you for mentioning the Foundry, because you're right, that is relatively new. And so that is something that was not there, again, when I was there, which was really not that long ago. So something along with technology would be something that I think lots of alums have reflected on, is the fact that they learn how to write really well while at Ellis and how to do research as well. And so, how to research has changed a lot in recent years. Now we do most of it online. And so can you maybe talk a little bit about your research projects, how you've been sort of taught to consume news and things like that, Carly?
Well, so the juniors will find this out very soon, but the junior research paper really helped me learn how to stay organized, right? I mean, you're always supported, and it's an increasing level of what you're learning every year, and you're always going to be very prepared. But I think over the last year, well, Dr. Redkay right now, she has really helped me, and just from like even smaller assignments, like all the teachers push you and require like a certain level of organization and research and having a good foundation. So I've definitely learned how to write well.
Yeah, Eleanor.
Yeah, so last year when I was in sophomore World History 2, our teacher, Dr. Corbicero, I distinctly remember this class where she sort of sat us down and she had us look at these two different sources. I think it was talking about children's medicine. But anyways, the point of the exercise was to determine which source was more credible. And sort of she went over how to not only look at just the page that contains the information that you're after, but also the about page on the website. And so I think that sort of media literacy and sort of being critical of what you consume is something that is, I'm sure, new at Ellis because technology is more involved now and electronic news is more evolved, but it's definitely a skill that we touch on here.
Thank you. So we have someone, an alum that is listening, that was playing soccer that when they were at Ellis, there was not a soccer team. They had to play with the Alderdice team. So they're interested in learning about the experience, your experience as a soccer player at Ellis.
Sure, well, I know Anna's also on the soccer team. This year is a little crazy because we're all wearing masks during games. So that's been really interesting. But when I arrived on the soccer team freshman year, it was a relatively small team. We had a new coach and we only had one coach. So most of the sports teams at Ellis have either a coach or an assistant coach or both. And so when I first arrived, it was quite a small team, but over the past 3 years, it's grown in size significantly. I think last year we had around 20 girls, and we're all out on the really nice Ellis turf playing fields. And so that has been incredibly fun because I came from this small middle school where we were, as you said, like I played on a field across from Alderdice. It was this little grass field, and Ellis having their own field makes it much more enjoyable to practice soccer with all of my friends.
Yes, Anna.
Definitely, I agree with Eleanor. It is so much fun. And one of my favorite things about coming to Ellis and starting soccer was that I met pretty much my whole friend group at soccer practice. So the first day I walked in and I met the most supportive people I've ever met in my entire life. And I made such a good core group of friends. And having that group of friends and being on a sports team together really unified us, and we all had something to talk about. And it's so fun. I've played soccer, I don't know how many years, I think like 10 or 11 years. But soccer's always been a part of my life. So doing it at Ellis is really fun and I love it so much.
Are there any other extracurricular activities that you guys are involved in? So I've heard sports, I've heard the musical. What else have you guys enjoyed doing? Yeah, Anna.
So I'm in the musical and I'm also in track. So I'll start with the musical. So we have a winter musical every year. And it is so much fun. We have practice every day from like 3:30 to 5:30. And then whenever we get towards the show, it's longer. And it is so much fun being in a creative space with all my peers because we really get to form a product that we get to perform for other people and get like direct feedback on. And doing it in the course of like 3 months is really, it's so fun. And I think it's really impressive that we can put together a great product in such a short amount of time. And I also do track. So again, being on a sports team is so much fun. I love sports. And track is also really fun because I started it freshman year and that was the first year I ever did track competitively. And I just remember feeling so close to everyone on the team and having so much fun and figuring out what I wanted to do in track, which is like you could do sprinting, you could do long distance, you could do throwing, jumping, you could do so many different things in track, and just figuring out what I'm good at, what I'm bad at. It helped form me as an athlete, which I think is very helpful with all sports.
Nice. Talia?
So I've been very involved at the play in Ellis, and that usually happens in the fall. I haven't done it this year just because of COVID. But during my 9th grade year, I was able to be the co-stage manager, and then in 10th grade, I was able to be the assistant manager. And it's something that's just been really, I think like it was really like instilled a love for theater in me. And it's also been a really good way to connect with other students at Ellis. And it's always very fun to see a production come together, especially in the Ellis Theater.
Awesome. Thanks. Carly and then Eleanor. I think everyone wants to hear what you guys are up to.
Well, so outside of school, I'm a dancer, but in school, I've been a part of student council, and I'm sure other people can talk to this too, but it's like a little family, and similar to the play, you can really see things coming together over time and like everybody's ideas and new ideas every year. So I really enjoyed that over my time in the upper school.
I think this is an extracurricular. I take CS, and so I've taken CS here at Ellis since freshman year, so beginning with Intro to CS, and now I'm in Advanced Topics. I'm in computer science, and that's been really interesting. It's sort of a different format in how the class is taught. We're sort of all on our computers, and we're not only coding, but this year in particular, we're talking about sort of the ethics about coding and about computer usage, about like the digital divide, about who has access to what technology. And that's especially important and significant right now when we're in the middle of a pandemic, when access to technology is incredibly important. And so having an extracurricular where we're talking about this sort of stuff, and where essentially we're becoming experts about, how the internet works, how server sockets communicate to client sockets, I think is really interesting and important.
Thank you. So, Talia, I know you mentioned that you were part of the Jewish Student Union. I was wondering if you guys could talk a little bit about, and you can start, Talia, about the affinity groups at Ellis and sort of how you feel about Ellis supporting different groups and inclusivity.
Yeah, for sure. So Ellis has a long range of affinity groups that anyone who identifies with that group can be a part of. So we have the Jewish Student Union, Asian Student Union, the Black Student Union, really for anyone to join and just be a part of. And it's kind of another really like miniature family that you can form at Ellis. And I know for me, when I came in 9th grade, there was the tragedy of the Tree of Life shooting, which was a really hard time for me. And I think what was really special about being at Ellis at that time was I had my Jewish sisters to support me, but then also the broader Ellis community. It's not just limited to your affinity group of the support system that's at Ellis, and I think that's something I've been really thankful for.
Yeah, Eleanor.
Yeah, so I'm a member of the Asian Student Union, ASU, and then also the Multiracial Student Union, or MRSU. And so that, I like to think of it sort of as just as important for my freshman year as it was for me to join a sports team to make friends. Being in an affinity group, it was also really great because that's how I met not only other people from my grade, but then also, seniors and juniors and sophomores. And so I sort of got to create this, this little family within the Ellis community. That was really important. And then speaking just specifically on the Multiracial Student Union, that was started last year, so it's sort of a new student union, but that's been really nice because it's sort of a smaller group of girls, of kids, and yeah, it's been exciting to have that finally as an aspect of the Ellis School.
Awesome. Carly?
I'm also in the same ones as Eleanor, ASU, and the Multiracial Student Union, and it's honestly just like a really nice relief almost. Like, it's mainly at lunch. I mean, we have other events like fundraisers. We had a potluck one time for ASU where everyone brought in different foods, and we raised money to send to a relief organization in China during the beginning of the coronavirus. So I feel like we're all just really passionate about inclusivity, and it's really nice, like Eleanor said, to have an emerging affinity group where it's even more specific and you can connect to more people.
So something we talk about at Ellis a lot is that, everyone at Ellis is different and that you can be yourself. And so just wondering, do you feel that way at Ellis? How do you feel with other students? Do you feel sort of, supported in whoever you want to be? Yeah, Anna.
So first I wanted to correct myself from earlier. I was talking about how we all go through the same experiences being teenage girls, but after I said that, I realized that not everybody at Ellis identifies as a female. So I wanted to correct myself and say that we all go through the same experiences as teenagers. That was the first thing I wanted to say. I apologize for that. And second, one of my favorite things about Ellis is that you have the ability to be whoever you want to be and do whatever you want to do, and you were supported in that 100%. And I think that's so important just for developing your character and who you are as a person, because you don't have any restraints on who you are. You could just be who you want to be. And I think that's honestly one of my favorite things about Ellis, because you have the freedom to change who you want to be at any time, and everyone will support you no matter what. So yeah, I really think that's the support here, and just everybody being inclusive and making sure that everybody feels as though they are supported and valid. I think that's one of the most important aspects of Ellis.
Thank you. Carly?
Yeah, so I, like Anna mentioned, we're all teenagers, and so I don't have specific experiences that would make me feel like I need more support or something like that. But I think at least I know for students, everyone is very supportive of one another, and I know that we're trying, especially this year, to be very clear on using correct pronouns and doing what may seem small to some people, which is very significant for others. So making people feel, like Anna said, valid and appreciated is really something I think we embody at Ellis.
Yeah, Eleanor.
Yeah, so about this idea of being yourself, one of the really nice things I noticed when I came here is that lots of my classmates had these really niche interests. So I remember talking to one of the girls when I first arrived as a freshman, and she was explaining to me how she was really into like history nonfiction, and that's what she liked to do in her free time. And sort of, I have lots of other friends who are really into musical theater, and they like know everything about musical theater. And so I think everyone being able to basically be nerds about their super niche interests is just a testament to how supportive Ellis is about people being themselves.
Yeah, Talia.
Yeah, also I know Eleanor kind of briefly touched on this earlier, but kind of an adjustment I think that we've made this year is the Big Sister program. We're now calling it the Big Sister and Sibling program to make sure that we're including everyone and making everyone feel comfortable. And I think that's a really important change that we had, and I'm really excited about it.
Thank you. And something else that one of the alums was asking was if you think that students at Ellis that are LGBTQ feel supported. Carly?
I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of students who are a part of the LGBTQ plus community, but I think we're really working towards being good allies, and I think through like SDL, I know GSA meets, and they just sent out a survey actually, but through that, like Culture Jam, we're really trying to integrate it into like everyone's daily lives because it's really important. And so I know a lot of students who are being supportive and trying their best to be supportive, but I also don't want to have my voice speak for people of that community.
Thank you very much. Eleanor, yeah.
Yeah, so this year I'm also in SDL with Carly and Anna. We were talking a lot about being able to communicate to the upper school community and the wider Ellis school community about using pronouns. And it's something I've noticed that's changed in this really short period of time, right? This wasn't something I was necessarily familiar with or talking about in class in 2018 when I arrived, but now in 2020, this is a really important part of our conversation. And so one of the things we were speaking about in SDL is ensuring that everyone has their pronouns in their Zoom name, because it just sort of normalizes it and makes it more comfortable for people who don't use the pronouns that were assigned to them at birth. And so even though like I can't speak to the experiences of people who are LGBTQ. There is a lot of work that we can do at Ellis that I can see. It's definitely obvious that there is work to be done, but we're trying our best to do that.
Thank you. Well, I have to say, being in my role now, watching Ellis students, that you guys continue to, just lead by example, which is one of the wonderful things about Ellis students and alums in general. So switching gears a little bit, another question would be, what do you think about the uniform? How do you feel about wearing one? And yeah, do you like it, do you not? So Anna, you raised your hand right away.
I absolutely love the uniform. There's nothing more comforting to me than waking up and not having to think about what I have to wear. It is so nice. And the uniforms are actually like pretty cute and pretty fashionable. So yeah, I really love the uniforms and just the simplicity of them. I think they look really nice and really professional. So yeah, I definitely love them and they're definitely incredible.
Great, Talia.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of the kilt. I have my kilt scrunchie that I bought at the holiday shop last year. And I think also there's also a kind of community around the kilt. Like if I see someone on Forbes and Murray and they're wearing a kilt, I'll be like, hi, do you go to Ellis? And I think that's just something that's really nice. Also, additionally, the comfort is amazing.
Yeah, Eleanor.
I always like to joke that the kilt is both an item of clothing, it's a skirt, it's a blanket, it's a napkin, it's whatever you need it to be whenever you want it. And so I really like that about it. But also, just as Talia and Anna were saying, it's really comfortable and I really appreciate not having to think about what I'm wearing and having my outfit not be a part of my learning experience.
Nice. Carly?
I also think it's made my life so much easier, but I see so many people wearing cute sweaters or sweatshirts, and I love to coordinate my uniform. And I also think that it makes the dress down days more special. So then you enjoy them more. So I love the kilt. I think it's great.
Yeah, I would say, speaking from experience, knowing that many of my friends, we all very much missed the kilt when we were in college and having to actually suddenly pick outfits and decide what to wear. So I'm glad you all enjoy it. So very quickly, some questions that I don't know if you guys would know the answer. The new field was built relatively recently in around 2013, I believe. So it is kind of new and it has allowed for a lot of wonderful sports. Sorry, I'm looking at some more questions. And for the soccer team, I don't know. I don't know when the soccer team was created. Do any of the soccer players know when the sports started at Ellis? It was not there when I was there. No? Okay, so another question is, Jacole Hardley, our alum, is asking, does Ellis still have mini courses? And if so, what are some of your favorite topics? Sorry, Anna, go ahead.
Yes, we do have mini courses, and sadly, because of COVID, we didn't get to do them last year. But during freshman year, I went on the mini course trip, which was to Toronto, Canada, and it was a really great experience. It's probably one of my favorite memories from freshman year. And the one thing I love about mini courses is that you could choose so many different ones, and they're all super fun. And yeah, they were just a really great experience. And it's also such a good way to end the year because your finals are over, your classes are over, and you just get to relax and have fun with your friends. So yeah, I really love mini courses and I love that they still exist.
Awesome. Eleanor?
Yeah, so my favorite mini course that I took freshman year was a felting mini course. And so one of my friends, her mom, is really into felting. And so she had this group of kids and we were all sort of had this wool, we were felting. And then one day she comes in and she's like, guys, I have one of my friends who owns a sheep. I'm gonna bring the sheep into Ellis and you guys are gonna shear the sheep. And so I come into school one day, this is in May, and there are 2 sheep on the Ellis green. And so all of us who are in this felting club have these giant shears and we're shearing the sheep. So that was a really just sort of crazy experience and a super fun way to end the school year.
Awesome. Talia, I think you raised your hand too, right?
Yeah. So mini courses a lot of the time remind me of going to camp, which I do in the summer, which I think is so fun and such a fun way to end the year. And in ninth grade, I took, I think, like 4 mini courses. There was one about like all the Godzilla movies, and we had a walking elective where we walked around Fifth Avenue. And I think I did one about like healthy eating, which was really fun. So there's just so many different options that have been really great.
Thank you. And so something else that I think is relatively new is the advisory program. I know that we all had advisors in the past, but I think it has changed a bit. I was wondering if one of you could describe the advisory program and why you're in the group you're in. Carly?
So I know freshmen are assigned advisors. I had a joint advisory with Mr. Malmstrom and Dr. Red K, but then once you're a sophomore and so on, you can choose your advisor, or you can just continue to check off your previous advisor. And so once I was a sophomore, I chose Dr. and I've stuck with her through. I've never changed. My screen's frozen. I don't know if people can.
You're good. We can still hear you.
But I really love the advisory program because you're able to pick someone that you feel will support you, that you're comfortable with, and I've definitely relied on her, and she's been a great help, and she's writing one of my recommendation letters, so it's definitely a strong bond that you form with your advisee group and your advisor.
Nice. Yeah, Eleanor?
Yeah, so one of the great things about the advisor program here at Ellis is that even though I technically only have one advisor, I will go to like 4 other different teachers who aren't really my advisors to get advice. And so all of these teachers who are advisors for other people who have experience advising, but who aren't my actual advisor, I can go to them as well as the person that I'm comfortable with. And then in addition to that, one of the things that I like about the advisory program at Ellis is that we have lunch together with the other advisees. So it's about a group of like 10-ish so students who get together, and we just sort of have lunch together and talk and debrief about the week ahead. It happens on Mondays, and so that's enjoyable too.
Nice. Yeah, Talia.
Yeah, I think the advisory programs is actually one of my favorite parts about Ellis. I think it creates a space where you're able to be very comfortable with a teacher and get their advice, or if you're having any issues, you're able to go to them. But what's also really special is that it creates a lot of like intergrade relationships. And so it's a way for me to connect with the kids that are younger than me and the kids that are older than me. And like Eleanor was talking about, like the lunches, like that's one of my favorite lunch times of the week because it's so fun to connect with everyone.
Anna?
Yeah, I definitely love the advisory program. And one of the great things about advisory is that during the lunches, sometimes we have big conversations if someone is having trouble with something or if someone needs advice. So you don't only get specific advice for you, but you also get group advice to just make your overall well-being at Ellis better if you're having a rough time. And also all of our advisories are pretty close-knit. So the students in our advisories also give advice to each other if someone has advice about a specific topic. And yeah, it's like a little family in school, and I'm really close with everyone in my advisory. So yeah, I definitely love it a lot.
Wonderful. Speaking of all of these lunches, what do you think about the food in the cafeteria? Yes, Talia.
Well, this year our cafeteria is not open. You can opt into getting a pre-packed lunch, but to speak on last year's cafeteria, I'm a very big fan. I think it was a little dangerous for me to just type in my number and pay for whatever food I would get, big cookies, ice cream, anything. But, it's always fun to just go down with your friends. You all can share a big cookie or whatever, and that was really delicious.
Nice. Carly?
So for lunch, I have always been a packer since 3rd grade, but for snack, it was just great. I know they have like bacon egg sandwiches. Sometimes they would make little like pancakes. They have biscuits, bacon. There was a waffle maker. There were chocolate muffins were my favorite. So, ooh.
Nice. Anna?
Yeah, the food in the cafeteria is really good. And I was just talking to my friend group about this, but I miss it so much this year because I remember I've had so many good memories just sitting in the cafeteria during snack and eating like a big cookie or like an egg and cheese sandwich. Oh, they're so good. or maybe some yogurt and just talking with my friends. But yeah, the food in the cafeteria is really good. My favorite is personally, we had a yogurt bar last year, which had like different flavors of yogurt and then a bunch of different toppings. Oh my God, it was so good.
Thank you. Oh yeah, Eleanor, go.
And one more thing, like the first thing I texted my sister who graduated Ellis before me, the first thing I texted her about when I came to Ellis was I texted her, I was like, they have giant cookies here. And so there was this one day we're all running down to snack and we're all picking up these huge cookies and everyone's like sharing them and talking. And so yeah, the big cookies are a big highlight of the Ellis cafeteria experience.
I think the big cookies might be one of Miss Finley's highlights as well. So another question would be, do you think that Ellis students are very politically active? If anyone wants to share an example, or yeah, Carly.
For sure. I know, for example, I take gender and power, and today we hashed out the whole debate, the vice presidential debate. I know a couple classes ago we did the presidential debate, and then I mean, of course, we did like real classwork, but it's really current and very important to talk about. So I feel like just having that as like a part of our class, and even if like you're not taking the class, we all talk about it. We were texting in our group chat, like our grade group chat, the whole time it was going on. So I would say everyone's very politically active and engaged.
Talia, yeah.
Yeah, just to go off of what Carly was saying, I think that especially in our history classes, what's really nice is that we're able to bring in like current day events that are happening. So after the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, my history class spent an entire day just talking about her legacy and the importance that she had in our country. And I think that's why I think history is probably my favorite class, because we're able to connect what we're learning about in the past to the current events of today.
Awesome, thank you. So we're getting close to the end, but I think one more question. Do you have a favorite memory from your time at Ellis? Eleanor?
I'll start. Maybe I'll share two. The first would be freshman year. This is sort of like the last day before winter break. And before that last day, student council puts together what's called Ellis Idol. So it's like this talent show. And everyone sort of can sign up and then perform something. And so that was really nice. I remember my CS class, my intro to CS class, we had this robot that we programmed to dance, and then we danced along with it. So that was really nice because it was sort of debriefing after this very sort of somewhat stressful period leading up to winter break. And then my second favorite Ellis memory was when the soccer team made it to the playoffs for the first time, or maybe I think it was the second time in Ellis history last year. So that was really exciting.
Thank you. Carly?
So this is kind of like, it was an ongoing memory, but the big sister, little sister letters, what like when I was a freshman was so great. I still talk to my big sister all the time. We danced together. Like I texted her yesterday. So I would say that was like one of my favorite memories. And then the other one I just had it. Senior wills. At the end of the year when like, I don't know why I'm so dark. But all the seniors, they have like little gifts for people, and you're in the gym and you call everyone up, and then it's like, like passage to the younger grades. So that was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, Anna.
I also have two. So my first one, my favorite memory from both last year and freshman year is definitely Spirit Week, just because I love school spirit, and I love having fun things to do during the day, and you get to dress down for the whole week, which I think is really fun. And my second favorite memory is freshman year. We had an amazing English teacher, and my dad picked me up at 5:30 every day because he works in Oakland. So there wasn't like really a point for him to pick me up at school at 3:10 when I didn't have any practices or anything. So I would go to my English teacher's room, and I would sit there with a few of my friends, and we would just talk, and it was so nice. And those are some of my favorite memories ever from all of high school. So yeah.
Talia?
One of my favorite memories actually happened, I think, like last week. So because of COVID, we've been eating lunch outside whenever we can, whenever the weather is nice enough. And so me and my friends, we're actually sitting in Carlea's background on the porch of the Arbithorn house. And one of the teachers who was on lunch duty came over to us with a guitar, and he just sat down and started playing the guitar, and we all started singing this song that we all loved. And that was just really, really special. I think it kind of took away the stress of this pandemic that's going on, and also was just a really nice time to be with friends.
Definitely. Well, I think we might have time for one more question if any alum has a final one. Okay, so we do have one. Wondering about what classes are like being held during COVID. So I can frame it very quickly, that where Ellis has students that are on campus, but also doing it remotely for those that are choosing to be remote. But I think most of you guys are going to class on campus. So if you want to share a little bit of what it's like right now during COVID. Anna.
It's definitely a different experience. So in every classroom, our desks are made sure to be 6 feet apart, and we're all taking safety precautions and wearing masks and making sure that everyone is the safest that they could be. And yeah, it's definitely a different experience. Just walking into a classroom that you're so used to and everything being in different places than it usually is. But honestly, I think Ellis is doing a great job making sure that everybody is safe. And I'm really grateful for that, because coming to school and seeing my friends every day is definitely a super special part of my day and really integral to my personality, just because I tend to be super social. So the fact that I can come to school every day safely, as opposed to some of the schools who haven't even opened yet because the pandemic, is I'm really grateful for.
Thank you. Carly?
I would say one of the changes is that, well, we normally every other Wednesday would be a collab day. We switched our schedules like to a 2-week system, which for me is different. But we do classes online. Well, if people need to go in on Wednesdays, they can, but a majority of us are online on Wednesdays. So it's kind of like a nice break in the week, because it's great to see everyone, but it is different. And so I think being online gives us like a nice rest period before going back for Thursday and Friday. And then I would say the Magnus screening app in the morning is a new change, because, like you take your temperature and you fill out the symptoms every morning. And so if you don't submit it by 7:15, you have to go home. And I forgot to submit mine one morning. Out and everything, and then I walked all the way to the front and I had to go home. So that's kind of challenging, but it's for our safety. So
yeah. Talia?
Yeah, I think also Ellis is one of the, I think only schools that, well, not only, but one of the few schools I know that has actually been able to open, which I'm very, very grateful for. I think the quarantine was so long, and I'm just happy that we're able to go back in a really safe manner. I think Ellis has done a really good job at that. I think it's definitely very different. We have a lot of our classmates who are online, and even some teachers, so that creates a bit of a different classroom experience. But ultimately, I think we're all just really grateful to be together and be in the building.
Eleanor?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing, just to give the alumni an idea of the class dynamic. So for the students who are virtual, we get their faces projected on the giant TV screens that we have here. And in this past week, we had some tech adjustments. So the beginning of the year, I think it was hard for some people to hear if they were at home and they couldn't really see the class. But this past week, Ellis helped make some technology adjustments so that each classroom now has 2 computers, so students can both see the teacher's face, but also the entire class. And then we all got speakers for each teacher so that the sound quality is better for students at home. And so that makes switching from in school to in person, like Carly said, if I forget my Magnus to do my Magnus screening, it makes it much easier and much more fluid.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for taking your afternoon to help alums learn a little bit more about what Ellis is like now. Tomorrow, you guys are going to get to learn a little bit from the alums that we have as part of our career panel. So we are very much looking forward to that. So thank you for kicking off our reunion weekend. A big thanks to all the alums that are participating and on this now. And we're looking forward to even more fun reunion activities tomorrow. So thank you all and have a great rest of your evening.